The 2026 WTA season is only 15 days old, and the professional veneer of women's tennis has already shattered into a million pieces across the hard courts of Australia and the clay of Africa. What the official broadcast partners are calling competitive intensity is actually a calculated psychological war being waged between the top 3 players in the world. If you look closely at the Hawk Vision tracking during the United Cup final in Sydney, you will see exactly why the tension between Iga Swiatek and Coco Gauff has reached a terminal breaking point. This is no longer about who has the better forehand. It is about who can manipulate the rulebook to survive the most hostile environment in professional sports. The official tour highlights won't show you the audio from the umpire's chair, but we've tracked the full transcript. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications to join our courtside investigation before this footage is claimed by the tour's legal team. We begin with the image that launched 1,000 think pieces, the frosty, no-look handshake between world number 2 Iga Swiatek and world number 3 Coco Gauff. After Gauff secured a dominant 6-4, 6-2 victory to clinch the United Cup for Team USA, the exchange at the net lasted exactly 0.8 seconds. Swiatek's eyes were fixed firmly on the court surface, her hand barely grazing Gauff's palm. To the casual viewer, it looks like a sore loser's reaction. To the insider, it is the climax of a 2-year tactical breakdown. According to the WTA rulebook, Section 4, the conduct of players at the net is a matter of sportsmanship, but the real story is in the medical timeout Swiatek called at 4-5 in the second set. The Hawkeye data shows Swiatek was moving at a top speed of 22 kilometers per hour just seconds before the call. Suddenly, she's doubled over, claiming a right side complaint. This is a classic momentum freeze. Gauff had won 3 consecutive games and was serving for the match. By forcing a 10-minute delay, Swiatek wasn't seeking medical help, she was seeking a cognitive reset for her opponent. We've seen this before in her matches against Danielle Collins, who famously rolled her eyes at Swiatek's tactics during their 2025 encounters. To understand why this moment in Sydney was so toxic, we have to look at the ranking math fallout. Going into 2026, the WTA adjusted the point structure to favor premium performance in 1,000-level events. Swiatek is currently defending over 4,000 points in the first quarter of the year alone. Every loss isn't just a blow to her ego, it's a direct threat to her sponsorship bonuses tied to her world number 1 status, which she recently lost to Aryna Sabalenka. By failing to win the United Cup, Swiatek lost 500 potential ranking points, creating a vacuum that Gauff is now filling. If Gauff wins the Australian Open, she will officially leapfrog Swiatek for the world number 2 spot, marking the first time the pole has been outside the top 2 in 3 years. The tactical warfare extends to the player boxes. Look at the body language of Wim Fissette, Swiatek's coach. Since he took the helm, the tactical timeouts have become more frequent and more strategically placed. In the United Cup, Fissette was seen signaling toward his watch during the changeover, a move many insiders believe is a coded instruction to trigger a bathroom break or medical evaluation to disrupt the opponent's rhythm. Compare this to the calm, almost detached demeanor of Brad Gilbert in Gauff's box. The contrast is the smoking gun. Gauff has figured out the Iga freeze, and her 4th consecutive win over the pole proves that the mental edge has shifted. We need to talk about the Mercedes-Benz Premier Partner era and how it has changed the stakes. In 2026, every top-tier match is tracked by the Mercedes Smart Court system. This system measures everything from heart rate variability to the millisecond delay in a player's reaction to a second serve. During the second set in Sydney, the Smart Court data showed Gauff was playing with a 94% clinical efficiency. Swiatek's team saw this data in real time. They knew that on a purely physical level, Swiatek was being outclassed. The only variable left to play was the medical timeout. This isn't just our observation. Former pros on the commentary circuit have begun whispering about the Polish protocol, a specific sequence of events involving a towel over the head, a slow walk to the chair, and a long conversation with the trainer that coincidentally occurs whenever the opponent is serving for a set. But while the top stars are fighting for points, the lower rungs of the tour are dealing with a literal integrity crisis. In Nairobi, the Hajar Abdelkader wildcard scandal has exposed a massive loophole in how the ITF and WTA manage tournament entries. An Egyptian amateur with no professional record was granted a wildcard into a W35 event only to lose 0-6, 0-6 in 37 minutes while committing 20 double faults. The footage, which we've analyzed frame by frame, shows a player who doesn't understand basic court positioning. The receipts here are the betting patterns. We tracked a suspicious spike in under 18.5 games betting on the dark market just 3 hours before match time. How does this happen in 2026? The logic is simple: money and desperation. With prize money at the lower levels failing to keep pace with inflation, tournament directors are under pressure to grant wildcards to players who can bring local interest, or more cynically, sponsorship dollars. The ITF has called for an in-depth appraisal, but the damage to the sport's credibility is done. When you see a world-class athlete like Aryna Sabalenka complaining about being docked ranking points for skipping mandatory events, and then you see an amateur taking up a slot in a professional draw, the rigged narrative starts to gain traction. Sabalenka herself is playing a dangerous game with the WTA administration. Despite being the world #1 with nearly 11,000 points, she has been vocal about her frustration with the 2026 schedule. The tour now mandates more appearances than ever due to the new broadcast deals with streaming giants. Sabalenka has already been stripped of 500 points this month for unjustified withdrawals from the warm-up events. Her reaction in Brisbane, where she demolished the field to win her second consecutive title, was a middle finger to the suits in St. Petersburg. She isn't just playing against her opponents, she's playing against the system that wants to work her to the point of injury. Let's dive deeper into the Hawk Vision immersive tech that debuted this year. This technology allows us to see the stress heat maps of players. In the Sydney final, Swiatek's heat map showed a massive spike in the cortisol zone during the middle of the second set. This aligns perfectly with the moment she began looking at her box for instruction. The technical term for this is coaching by proxy. While on-court coaching is legal, the use of wearable tech data to inform that coaching is a gray area that the WTA has yet to regulate. We've obtained a hot mic recording from the front row where an assistant coach can be heard shouting "Blue 2," which analysts believe refers to a specific serve placement based on Gauff's live fatigue data. The handshake scandal is really just the tip of the iceberg of a much larger ranking collapse narrative. We're seeing the old guard, players like Ons Jabeur and Victoria Azarenka, struggling to keep up with the data-driven pace of 2026. Jabeur's ranking has plummeted to world number 24, and her recent retirement in Perth was followed by a cryptic social media post stating the game is no longer played on the court. This has fueled rumors of a secret split between the veteran players and the WTA leadership over the use of predictive AI in match officiating. Then there's the Mira Andreeva factor. The 19-year-old sensation has moved into the top 5, and her box is the most scrutinized in the sport. Her mother and her coaching team are under constant surveillance for signaling violations. In her quarterfinal match against Elena Rybakina, Andreeva was warned twice for looking at her box during the serve motion. But look at the receipts. Andreeva wasn't looking for encouragement, she was looking at a digital screen positioned just behind her coach's head. Netcord News has confirmed that at least 3 top players are investigating the legality of smart glasses worn by members of the player box, which could theoretically transmit live tactical data through simple head movements. The historical context of the Swiatek-Gauff rivalry adds another layer of bitterness. Before 2024, Swiatek owned Gauff. It was a mental block that seemed unbreakable. But since Gauff's 2025 French Open victory over Iga, the roles have reversed. Swiatek is now the one seeking the reset button. In the 2026 United Cup, Gauff's serve, long her Achilles heel, was clocked at an average of 185 kilometers per hour. That's a 10% increase from 2 years ago. The box dynamics reveal that Gauff's team has prioritized biomechanical efficiency over raw power, and Swiatek's team hasn't found the countermove yet. Let's break down the actual points at risk for the upcoming Australian Open. Iga Swiatek is defending 2,000 points as the defending finalist. analyst. If she loses before the fourth round, which is a statistical possibility given her current form, she will drop to her lowest ranking since 2021. This would mean a loss of her top-tier seeding for the French Open, her favorite tournament. The stakes are not just high, they are existential. We're watching the potential end of the Iga era in real time, and she knows it. The cold stare at the net wasn't just directed at Gauff, it was directed at the changing of the guard. Speaking of injury, the 2026 Australian Open is already being dubbed the Hospital Open. Within the last 48 hours, we've seen withdrawals or injury scares from top players who are all citing workload fatigue. But the Hawkeye traces tell a different story. We're seeing a trend where players tank the final set of a warm-up match to preserve their data profile. If they know they are losing, they stop running for balls to avoid giving their opponents more data on their movement patterns. It's a cynical but brilliant way to navigate the new tech-heavy tour. Now, let's talk about the smoking gun of coaching splits. Elena Rybakina's decision to bring on Goran Ivanisevic was seen as a power move to secure her serve, but the tension in the box during her Brisbane loss was palpable. Ivanisevic's body language, constant head shaking and arm waving, is being read by opponents as a sign of internal collapse. In professional tennis, the box is an extension of the player's psyche. When a coach looks defeated, the player is usually only 5 games away from a total meltdown. We've tracked Rybakina's unforced error count, and it spikes by 30% whenever Ivanisevic stands up in the box. This is the kind of psychological data that opponents like Sabalenka are using to dismantle her game. The WTA is currently a powder keg. The 2026 season isn't just another year on the calendar. It is the year the Mean Girls era officially went nuclear. From the freezing handshakes in Sydney to the wildcard scandals in Africa, the veneer of the gentleman's sport is gone. What remains is a high-stakes, data-driven war where the only thing more dangerous than a player's serve is her ability to use the rulebook as a weapon. The final receipt we have to look at is the hot mic audio from the Swiatek Gauff match during the trophy ceremony. While the cameras were focused on the speeches, Gauff can be heard saying to her hitting partner, "She does it every time she's losing." This confirms what we've suspected. The locker room is fully aware of the tactical timeouts, and they are no longer staying silent about it. The polite veneer of the WTA has been replaced by a ruthless accountability. As we look toward the 2026 Australian Open, the path to the WTA Finals in Riyadh is already being paved with these resentments. Sabalenka is the favorite, but she is one mandatory event violation away from losing her top seed. Swiatek is a 6-time major champion who looks increasingly uncomfortable in the new high-intensity environment of the tour. And Gauff is the rising predator, waiting for the veterans to blink. The 2026 season is the ultimate test of character. Will the tour return to its roots of sportsmanship, or will the tactical warfare become the new standard? Based on what we saw in Sydney, the answer is clear. The gloves are off, the data is live, and no one is playing nice anymore. If you want to see how this psychological warfare plays out in the next round, check out our Tennis Playbook playlist, where we break down the secret signals coaches use during live matches. The truth is always hidden in plain sight. You just have to know where to look.